Hi, I'm Maria Lourdes Teran, Vice President at the Council of the Americas here in Miami. I'm thrilled to welcome you to our first Bravo Leadership Conversation of 2024. The Bravo Leadership Forums have become one of the most important engagement and dialogue platforms for bringing together Latin America's business leaders to promote cross-industry collaboration on critical issues impacting the region. The conversations highlight remarkable business visionaries, pioneers, and entrepreneurs from Latin America who are transforming their industries and driving positive impact in their fields. This year, we're making these conversations into a special series you can watch on your own time on YouTube, LinkedIn, or listen to as podcast on your platform of choice. You will meet leaders and learn about their approach to business in the region, usually through an interview with another business leader in Latin America. We will share all these valuable conversations throughout the year, leading up to our Council of the Americas Symposium and Bravo Business Awards taking place here in Miami on October 30th. Today, you're going to hear from Ignacio Yarur, Board Director at Banco de Crédito Inversiones, known as BCI. 2024 marks a milestone year for BCI as it celebrates the 25th anniversary since its international expansion to the U.S., later acquiring City National Bank, marking a pivotal moment as the first Chilean financial institution to own a bank in the U.S. In fact, BCI is part of our Bravo family, recognized with the Bravo Business Award for Financier of the Year in 2018. Ignacio is a fourth-generation family leader who recently joined the bank's board of directors. He spent almost 20 years directing key units of the business, most recently serving as BCI's Chief of Innovation and Digital Bank. In this first Bravo Leadership Conversation, he spoke with Jorge Becerra, who's a senior partner and advisor at BCG. Jorge and Ignacio will speak about BCI's expansion into the U.S. market, innovation, and financial inclusion in Chile, as well as leadership and next steps for the institution. I would like to thank our 2024 Bravo Series sponsors, Chubb, Inter & Co., Bank of America, Grupo Promérica, Moody's Investor Services, Salesforce, BlackRock, as well as our media partners, America's Quarterly and Bloomberg Linea. And I invite you to go to as-coa.org/Bravo to learn more about our upcoming conference this year. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy this conversation.
Ignacio, for sharing your story and BCI story with us today. And in fact, I think BCI has been widely recognized in Latin America for a tradition of innovation. But somehow the last 10 years has been in a particular journey of something that was intended to be and has been intended to be bolder to what has been developed many decades ago. So maybe just to start as a starter, in your perspective, with that tradition of innovation so embedded into the bank, what might have been those 2 or 3 key dimensions of how that innovation was supporting the last 10 years of work and innovation?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Thank you, Maria Lourdes. Thank you, Jorge. As you said, BCI, since its inception, has been very well known for innovation, and we always try to see how we can better serve our clients. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we don't, right? But I would say about 10 years ago, we were faced with, I would say, 3 major challenges. First of all, was the need for internationalization that we might discuss later.
Yep.
Then it was that BCI's market share increased success story had come to an end due to the Chilean market became much more concentrated. So what was easy for us at first, and we more than doubled our market share during the 90s and the noughties, became much more harder to achieve. And the third challenge was that since the rise of the Amazons, the Ubers, the Chinese platforms, the social networks, our customers' expectations that dramatically changed. And our customers really didn't understand, and they were right to think that way, that since they were able with just a couple of clicks buy almost anything, order dinner, rent a car, plan a trip, the companies that were supposed to know them better, i.e. the banks, weren't prepared to meet their expectations. So it was a mix of both market saturation and changing our customers' behavior that put us on a crossroad where we had to think where to go next. And the natural answer was innovation.
And I guess I remember a conversation I had with some of you back in 2015 that I was impressed about the sense of either awareness or awakening of some of you, not all of you, in terms of, for banks or for incumbents, was a matter of survival.
Yeah.
When you truly, even at that moment today, it's so obvious that the changes were going to be so disruptive. Many of you were thinking, okay, this is a matter of survival, so we need to do something different. But that led to the discussion on most of this innovation was coming from attackers or startups.
Yes.
The incumbents, as you were saying, may not be prepared or fully aware.
We were frozen.
And that's right. But somehow something happened at BCI that really triggered the sense of, okay, we will try to blend, hopefully, the best of both worlds, being an incumbent, but at the same time having the openness or the boldness to really innovate fairly disruptively.
Yeah.
How that blend happened?
Well, it was mainly a cultural challenge. Of course, changing the cultural landscape of a highly regulated legacy company, BCI, isn't easy. You can't just say, let's innovate. And that's also especially true because when you're running a decades long, profitable business, it's very difficult to even think on disrupting yourself. Why am I going to do this? And I'm a very profitable, well-recognized, big corporation. Why should I disrupt myself? And I think all led to the decision of our CEO to open our view of what was happening in the world. So I think we even traveled together. We went to China, India, US, Europe, almost everywhere, Australia, to figure out what was happening. And what we saw 10 years ago, it was that the banking business was about to suffer a significant change. And that it didn't give us time to rethink what we do next in terms of continuous improvement. We had to perform a significant change. And again, everything changed within the bank.
You mentioned about that eventually the challenge was on the cultural side, on the mental map, on how you were doing things. But in retrospect, there were also another one that was the tech or the technology adaptation. And many people now, we would talk about the tech stacks, but also the talent stacks. Those two enabling platforms that were needed to really get this transformation ongoing. How you face the challenge, because this technology aspiration of changing everything, the core systems and the APIs, for many have become like a stone on the shoes.
Sure.
What was the situation for you?
We did overhaul our IT platforms, but at the very early stage, we thought the transition we had to make was mainly an IT problem, and we were so wrong. We were so wrong. It was mainly a cultural challenge. So we had support from the top of the organization, and within all the ranks of the organization, incentives were changed, big budgets were allocated, new talent was hired because we as banks, we weren't the first choice for digital challenge to apply for a job.
Yeah.
No way. Huh? Incentives were changed, and a new leadership paradigm was also set up. So we start setting up a culture where mistakes were seen as opportunities for learning. Remember, we belong to a culture where mistakes were barely tolerated, right? That's how the banks used to be managed. Huh? You have to do things first.
Right first and
right
first time, yeah.
Right. Then teams were much more empowered. We spent much more time listening to our customers. Much more time. MVPs became the norm. Yeah. You just can't launch a new product without spending lots of time listening to our clients and constantly learning from their feedback. And a whole new culture of teamwork was also put in place.
You being, as a background, a lawyer and a banker in many dimensions, how in this model of work we're facing the opportunity to attract such a different talent, as you said, no? From ties and suits to almost not only tie-free environment, but almost shirt-free environment.
I remember the first time I brought our parents' company board members to where we were coding. They were scared to death. They saw people with I don't know, red hairs and piercings and tattoos. And how come a traditional bank like ours changed into a tech party? Yeah. Right? And it was very difficult to change their minds. And it was also very difficult to change the new digital challenge minds in order to let them know, come on, this is a bank. We are mandated to keep people's money safe. Their data privacy is paramount. So you don't mess here, huh? You can pilot whatever you want, provided you follow the rules. So we had to blend what was best from both worlds.
Interesting. And in that side, how the traditional incumbent organization was reacting, because it was somehow adapting processes and key incentives for the new talent. But at the same time, there was a cross-fertilization effect, like it was also benefit for the traditional organizations. Some of those changes also happen on the traditional areas?
Absolutely, absolutely, because once the traditional side of the business saw the benefits of adapting this new, let's say, customer-centric approach, and the results followed, it was much more easier for us to gain credibility. So let's say nowadays, the whole IT organization of the bank follows the same rules, the same ways of working of what we started back in the day in the, let's say, non-traditional area. Yeah. So it's been a long ride, but nowadays I think we are safe to say thanks to this cultural change, is that we achieved so many things within a certain amount of time.
And it read, I guess, in the press, maybe the end of last year, that I think BCI implemented like a new employee value proposition that applied, as you said, to the whole bank, and was including extremely innovative and unseen things on the contracts and even on the benefits, as an example of what you are saying.
Absolutely.
The question was, how on the tech side, because most of these incumbents, traditional organizations have had that mindset of, I could do everything on my own. I could solve all these problems from within.
That's what we thought at first.
And that was the initial mental map. How the evolution came to really say, I can't do everything on my own. I don't want, and really be part of a more, let's say, orchestrated ecosystem where you might be a leader or you might be a participant. How that, and any examples that you have on how tech ecosystem was?
It's just like you said. I mean, anyone who's been in the banking business knows that we run our operations over a very legacy, spaghetti, look like a platform. Our core systems were built late 70s, early 80s, just like the airlines, for example. But the only way, and that's what we saw when we went to China, everywhere around the world, to serve our customers the way they were expecting was changing four things. First, we have to dramatically improve the digital experience in our channels. We were lagging far behind of what you might find on Amazon, Uber, or the likes. Then we have to know our customers better. So a new data analytics area was set up. After that, customers weren't perceiving BCI as a company where they can get benefits in regard to being part of our ecosystem. And finally, when all of that was set up, then you have to take care of the IT platforms, right? Because they cross all over the organization, even here in Miami.
And any examples on how you start dealing with moving from that mindset of vendors in terms of IT to strategic partners and really being more open to that?
Well, I could name a few. First of all, like 6 or 7 years ago, we launched Match. Match is like the new bank in Chile. It has more than 4 million customers. 1 out of 2 adult Chileans are Match customers. And that was only possible because most of the infrastructure, it's built on the state-of-the-art IT partners, like Amazon Web Services, Zendesk, and the likes. So that result, and not only in and that we improve the speed where we can react to clients' demands, but also on having a great customer service, a great customer experience. The Net Promoter Score of Match is the best in Chile, and most of the clients' tickets inquiries are solved through technology. I would say 95% of what the customer asks us for is solved through technology. Only 25 people are employed on our customer support area because we have so few tickets that cannot be resolved by technology, and that was also provided by third parties. And when it comes to our loyalty program, which is something we just launched a year ago, we had to hire new talent. We had to buy assets from startups, and all of this put together into one single ecosystem we can discuss later, made us much more easier to integrate the different, let's say, parts we needed for an ecosystem. Otherwise, for us, doing all of this, we, as BCI, as a legacy organization, would have been completely impossible.
You mentioned now, right again, the legacy dimension, and in many cases, it's like a heavyweight, a backpack on that in terms of assets and infrastructure. But at the same time, La Familia Yarur and the BCI tradition has another legacies that are reinforcing that its own vision on contributing to Chile, society, and the values. How those values and family values have been somehow present, embedded, or guiding and lighting some of the initiatives that were really for profit in many dimensions, but still being somehow contextualized by those
No, I would
values?
say, regardless of the IT revolution, values hasn't changed. They are the same since we started the bank back in 1937. And if we are strongly convinced that if we work hard and we remain true to those values, our reward will come in the end. And one example of that is Match. Match, it's a free checking account for everyone. Anyone in Chile, even if you are 12, can get a Match checking account, provided you have a social security number.
Yeah.
So that opened, but it completely opened the gates for anyone in Chile to e-commerce, both international and domestic, because before that, no one can really buy, let's say, Spotify or Uber or Netflix or whatever, because no one had an account. The only account that was available at the time was the state-owned bank, Cuenta Root, which didn't have a credit line, so it was worthless.
And you need to pay for the transactions.
That way, we are not only providing our customers with the best experience in class, but also really supporting the growth of our country, of those in need of our support.
And as you said, 1 out of 2 adults really having a Match as a mechanism for paying everything, it's really distinctive. You did mention at the beginning that another challenge, an opportunity, given the stretching of the Chilean market in terms of growth, was internationalization. I need to admit that many, including me of us, back in 2015, were very skeptical about this move. Compared with your peers, and other regional banks in Latin America were moving to neighbor countries, to Peru or to Colombia, even some dare to go to Argentina. But how this emerged as an opportunity?
Yeah, it all started back in 1999 when Mr. Capablanca, who sits here, opened the Miami branch. And that branch had, in the beginning, 2 main objectives. One is to set a foothold here in the States, and the other one was servicing our Chilean clients doing business here in Florida. But as time went by, our team identified the strong potential that this market has in every single sense. It's amazing here, right? So as you said, the natural, let's say, path for us was to grow in other Latin American countries, as many other Chilean banks did, actually. We were an inch close to buy a bank in Argentina. But we don't ever follow the rules, right? So since our team was performing, let's say, a deep research on the market here, all roads led to the purchase of City National Bank, which was up for sale by Bankia, which was the Spanish lender. When City National Bank was put for sale, we came second. And it was a disappointment at first.
To whom? Who
to Banco do Brasil. But their internal approval process was so cumbersome, too Brazilian. So they were in Carnival at the time, so they didn't answer the phone. It was so cumbersome that we were the natural buyer of choice for the Spanish lenders. So we've been here for almost 10 years now. We have more than triple our size, and we have a lot of plans for the future.
Tell us a bit about the future. What is next? Because after 85 years, almost 90 years for the institutions, the 10 years in the US, now moving into Peru, but somehow there is this sense of acceleration, of exponentiality of all the changes from customers, industry, regulation. What is next, and how do you feel prepared for that?
Well, our business has become much more complex because of, as you said, regulations, customer demands, changing customer behaviors, new channels, new products, data, IT, new technologies. So I would say what we really want to do is to remain true to our values. And in Chile, in Peru, and in the US, it's very important for us to remain as close to the client as possible. And that requires not only listening to them, but also to follow our clients wherever they are doing their business. In Florida, for example, our clients are not only doing business in Miami, they are expanding elsewhere. So City National also wants to expand. And to not only to do business in Miami-Dade, but also in other counties like Broward, Orlando, Tampa, and the likes. We want to move fast. As of today, we are the biggest Latin American bank in assets in the US. But we want to keep on moving. And we have the right to be optimistic. You know why? Because there's been a lot in the press about the regional and community banks, right? And we all have read that. But not every community and regional bank has a parent company that can provide our Florida operation with all the digital resources we have already developed in Chile. And part of our vision is to deploy everything we have built there here also in Florida.
And providing the scale that, if not,
Absolutely.
would be much more difficult to obtain. The question may come is, how far are you willing to go in the US beyond Florida? Many people would say, are you considering other states that might have some similar opportunity? Alaska. Before that, but clearly, as you said, Florida seems to be that such an attractive market in terms of growth and opportunities.
Just see the cranes here. This is booming.
That's true. You know, from the hard to the soft, or from the center key tools to the center of management, styles. You mentioned two things. One, it's about data, CRM, analytics, and now AI and generative AI. How are you envisioning this would really transform the business model? And the following questions would be, now they are truly being exposed to the changes of the new century, 21st century, how the leadership dimension is changing, and what maybe your personal story on adapting your leadership style from being a lawyer and a banker to some more of an ecosystem guy. But starting with data.
Yeah, I'll start with data. I don't know, because I'm a lawyer, I tend to, and Jared may second this, I always try to follow what's precisely on the law. And what's certain from our clients, it's the data they leave whenever they travel through our channels.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago, when we were starting this, we immediately found out that we knew too little from our clients. We have like demographic data, but we didn't know how many times they shop in our channels, what did they like, what were their dreams. So we set a whole new data analytics area that governs every single customer interaction with our clients. And now, as of today, and this shows how important it is, directly reports to the CEO. And it's led by Claudia, who's here. This process allows us to safely store all our customer data in the cloud, and this is third parties that are helping us, then govern that data, and then we use all this data on our algorithm Salesforce-based CRM process. That's for data, right? In terms of leadership, what has changed? I think you said it before, you cannot do all things yourself. Especially when you were trained as a lawyer, and I went to law school back in the 90s, so a lot of things have changed. And if you want to serve your clients, which are far younger than me, you have to hire people like your customers. And this new talent, they come with a complete different approach. They don't want, they won't allow us to tell them, oh, if you have a problem, call, this is the call center number. No way, man. I just want one click. So we had to change our minds in terms of listening to the customer in much more depth, to delegate more, empower more the people, let them fail, and support them when they fail, and be always ready to help them. That's what a leader does. A leader leads by example, but it's always there to make his or her team shine.
That's great. That's great. Any personal experience that you had in exercising that leadership, either with your teams or with your kids, because everything becomes converging together in the experience.
No, I mean, in regard to our team, well, we have to bring a lot of people from outside the bank, and they had a complete different culture than us. Some of my ex-team, because since I now moved to the board, I left the management. They live outside Chile, and they remotely work and come to Chile once a month, right? That was a complete
Truly
change
new.
of paradigm.
Truly new.
Because we didn't have the skills, not the talent, to develop what we wanted. So we hire people from Argentina, people from, I mean, Claudia's team, there are no Chileans there. There are Argentinians, Brazilians, Spanish. So it completely changed our minds.
We mentioned about the family.
And my kids, they are the hardest critics that I have. Because they are digitally native.
Do they have Match, and do they use
Of course
Match?
they do. And they are very critic. I mean, they can't stand the way banks are, actually. they don't have a relationship with a bank. They have a relationship with an app. So they have Match. I mean, my oldest daughter went to Brazil for holiday last January. And she went with a lot of friends. And they all had Match. So all of them have Match. And no one was talking about, oh, I have a bank account. No, I have an app. That's right. That helps me in my daily needs. Whether it's a bank or not, I don't care. Right? So this is a new paradigm we have to consider. The banks that are gonna succeed in the long term are not only the ones that can help you on your, let's say, key moments in your life. Let's say I want to buy a house. Are the banks that win the battle for the daily needs of the people. For me, it's much more important than selling a consumer loan. It's much more important how many times do you log in into Match. Much more important. That's traffic. That's traffic, that's engagement, that's everything you need to build a successful relationship.
That's interesting. I think you were introduced by Maria Lourdes as a fourth generation, and given that we talk quite a bit on the family dimension, how are you envision, you and your brothers, the sense of both responsibility and aspiration on how to preserve this sense of enterprise and family enterprise that you have been now leading to the next generations, and maybe also moving eventually from some core activities that you had, because the bank has been quite central to the family, to opening to many other opportunities in the world.
Well, as many, I would say, South American founders, company founders, we are immigrants. And we arrived to Chile, I don't know, like 100 years ago. And we had little, and we worked hard, and we earned a lot. So part of our responsibility as businessmen is not only to make companies profitable, because if that's your only goal, believe me, you're not gonna succeed. You're gonna fail, man. So what you have to build is a true sustainable company that approaches the needs not only of the shareholders, but also of your clients, of your employees, and the whole community where you do business. Otherwise, if one of these pillars fails, your company is not going to be sustainable. If your clients hate you, if your employees don't like you, if you are not welcomed by the community, there's no way you're going to prosper. So these are some of the values we have inherited from our parents. And they're also part, and they're also distinctive in the way we want to do business. Not only BCI and City National and BCI Miami, they are not vehicles only to earn money. They have to be profitable, of course. But they are also a way to open the gates for social inclusion, especially in South America, where there are a lot of needs. And when it comes to new businesses, yes, since now after 20 years, I left the management line. Well, if any of you have been on the management line on a bank, it's safe to say you don't have time for anything, right?
That's true.
It's a very demanding job. And now have much more time. And part of me being here is that I would like to not only to help City National to expand its business in Florida, but also to expand other lines of businesses. And what I've learned in the past 20 years is banking, technology, data analytics,
and true innovation.
And true innovation. And I think there are a lot of opportunities here where we can add value.
That's amazing, and thank you for that. Maybe you anticipated to my final wrap-up question that was, if you would like to leave us with maybe 2 or 3 ideas of this journey, this story, both from the company, but mainly from you, what those could be, so that we could take us a bit of an illustration.
For a legacy company, innovation is not an IT problem. It's a cultural challenge. Because we have been set up in some sort of way, and we have to change the mind if we want to constantly understand what the customer wants. If you're, I think Jeff Bezos said that. Don't focus yourself on your competitors. Focus on your customer, and that's the safest way for success. Also, I would like to say that BCI has been a company notorious for being true to its values. And we, as the 4th generation in charge, we pretend to follow that path. And finally, it's not only City National, we want to make it grow, and we are here for the long term. Whatever is the price, we're not selling City National, because we do business for the long term. And we think there are a lot of opportunities for growth here. And not only for City National, I'm also here to add value for other line of businesses.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Ignacio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.